Hello friendos, it's Bella from the Bookish Badger, and today I'm coming at you guys with my 2019 reading year in review, because surely this is a type of video that people, usually post a few months into the year. That's pretty typical, right? Listen, I know that it's a really weird time, it being a few months into the year, to post this, but truth be told, even if absolutely nobody watches this video, I use these videos as an account for myself. So I will go back and watch this video at the end of this year. I'll compare it to the end of this year. I'll compare it to years prior. So it's sort of a device for me, and I really enjoy filming these videos. They're one of my favorites to film. So without further ado, I'm gonna do it. We're gonna start this off by talking a few numbers. My goal this year was to read 50 books, and I read exactly 50 books. I didn't read any under, I didn't read any over, and I was actually really shocked because I was very behind on my reading goal all year, and it was December 1st, and I still had 13 books to read to finish out my goal, but somehow by some deity, by some higher power, I pulled through and I read more books than I had ever read in a month, and I finished my goal, and I'm really, really proud because I'd never failed a goal yet and I wasn't about to start. As for pages, I read a little over 13,800 pages, which is fewer pages than I read the year before, which is a little disappointing because I'd always been on an upward trajectory, but I read fewer books this year than last year because I think last year I read something like 56 or something like that. So I'm not going to beat myself up about it too much. Now to get into the meat of the video, I will be doing my top 3 most disappointing books of the year and my top 5 favorite books of the year. So notice that I said top 3 most disappointing rather than what I usually do, which is top 5 least favorite books of the year. And I'll tell you why. 2019 was an excellent year for content for me. I had zero, count that, I had 0 one-star books, which is an accomplishment in and of itself for me because I have not had a year with 0 one-star books since I started a Goodreads. So there's that. And then I only had 1 2-star book, so I knew that that was going to be at the bottom of the pile. But then I was looking at my 3-star books, so I was like, okay, so I have to pull 4 of these that were like my least favorite of the year. And the problem with that is that if it's a 3-star read, it's not enough. I don't hate it enough to be a least favorite. Like, that seems like such a grand title. I was like, I didn't hate these, they were just a little disappointing. So I was like, you know what? That's what I'll do. And even enough of them weren't even disappointing enough to make a whole top 5. So that's why we're only going with a top 3. So this is my top 3 most disappointing. Always starting with the bad so we can end on the high of the good. So let's start with my 3rd most disappointing read of the year, which was Hatchet by Gary Paulson. Now, I read this one because of the PBS Great American Read List, and it just kind of fell flat for me. I think what I found out in late 2019 is that survivalist books just aren't really my jam. I could see, the thing with this book is that I could see how someone would like it and why someone would like it. I guess there was like a lot of adventure going on, and there was a lot of like life or death situations, and there wasn't anything wrong with the writing. I just didn't vibe with it, it wasn't really my gig. My 2nd most disappointing book of the year was A Separate Piece by John Knowles, again, which I read because of the Great American Read List. Now, I didn't have anything wrong with this story. I kind of enjoyed the story. I kind of enjoyed the characters. I didn't have anything wrong with the writing, but something about it was just not retaining my attention. And I am typically a very focused person, a very patient person, even when there's not really a lot going on in the story. But something about it, when my mind was listening to it, it was just like la da 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 da. Oh look, I just missed an entire hour of this audiobook. I have to start it over. The amount of times where I had to like go back on huge chunks of the book, or I think I started it over like twice, like it was ridiculous, and I'd never had that experience with an audiobook before, so that just put this one lower on the list for me. And my number 1 most disappointing book of the year was Made You Up by Francesca Zappia. Now this book has easily the most stunning cover I have ever seen. It is gorgeous, which automatically gave me unreasonably high hopes for it. But the main character in this book has schizophrenia. And while I was reading it, I was like, something about this seems a little off. And I was like, well, I don't really know enough about schizophrenia as a mental illness to judge whether or not this is an accurate depiction. But then I went on to Goodreads and I looked at some other user reviews, and a lot of them were like, I am a mental health professional and this is a terribly offensive and inaccurate book. I was like, so I was right, my intuition was correct. And besides that being a huge wall of an issue, the character development was really off. There wasn't enough of it, and when there was, it was like really sudden and stilted, and you were like, that just came out of left field. Why did they develop like that? And the love interest didn't make sense to me, why the two main characters even liked each other or where it was coming from, and the plot twists felt a little cheap to me. So overall, that is why this book came in as my least favorite, with all of those factors mixed and mashed together. And now it is time to get into the top 5 best books of the year, of which it was very difficult to pick because, like I said, it was absolute chef's kiss of a reading year. And even once I narrowed it down to the 5, it was like, what order do I put these in? Especially the top 2. Once you see the top 2, those were very, very difficult to decide which one was gonna go where. So let's get into it. My 5th best book of the year was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. All I could say about this book while I was reading it was, it is so captivating. It is so engrossing. Those were the main thoughts going through my mind the whole time while reading this book. It is such a well done, action-packed adventure. It is one of those books that had me absolutely addicted throughout. And if you are at all interested in the 80s, in video games, in lore, in fantasy, in sci-fi, then this is a book that I would recommend to you until the cows come home. My 4th favorite book of the year was The Princess and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. Listen, this is this is definitely the cutest, most adorable, most heartwarming book I have ever read. It is a graphic novel. The art is to die for. It is so cute. It's got the cutest color palette and the cutest characters. Oh my gosh, it is so sweet. I love it. The absolute pure, unadulterated love that the characters in this book have for each other is just, it melts your heart. Call me the Wicked Witch of the West after she got a bucket of water thrown on her, because I was melting the whole time. I would definitely recommend this book to you if you are a person who likes, I don't know, joy, if you're a person who likes happiness, if you're a person who likes love, if you're a person who likes things that make you warm and fuzzy, then you best be picking this up. My 3rd favorite book of the year was The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Whenever there's a super duper hyped book, I always get really excited and I always really want to like it, but there's always a tiny little piece of worry in me that's like, what if I don't like it? Because it's happened to me before with other hyped books, but I finally, after like years, picked this one up. Worry no more if you are still worried, because I am here to tell you, not that you need me to tell you, because there's already been like everybody ever saying for years that this is a fantastic, amazing book that should be read by everybody. But I'm here to tell you that this is a fantastic, amazing book that should be read by everybody. The characters are so real and so well written. The issues tackled in it are tackled so well, and it is so beautifully done. It is seamlessly done. It is extraordinarily done. This is a very important book, and I see why everybody says that it is so amazing, and you should absolutely read it if you like books that are super duper well done. That's just like the phrase that keeps coming to my mind when it comes to this book. It is so well done. Now, like I said, it was really a toss-up between these last two books, but I think I finally figured out the order in which I wanted to put these. So my second most favorite book, we love gooder English in this household. My second favorite book of the year was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I am an absolute sucker for atmosphere in books, and this book has got atmosphere for days. Oh my gosh, it is so beautifully, gorgeously written, and the mystery in this is one of the best I've ever read. It is truly a puzzle that you are putting together single tiny piece by single tiny piece, and you totally cannot see the picture whatsoever until every single piece is put into place, okay? That is how well this book is crafted. And I do not have enough good things to say about it. And finally, my top #1 favorite book of the year was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, this had the same thing as The Hate U Give, in that I was like, wow, this book is super duper hyped. I hope I'm not like literally the only person on the planet to not like it, but fear freaking not, because this book, oh my god. So what put it just like the tiniest smidgen above Rebecca for me is that if a book has got characters that are as believable and as interesting and as well developed and as well put together and as so distinctive from each other as they are in this book, like, you can't say no. You can't say that it's not your top favorite book of the year. They had the same sorts of characters as in the Raven Boys, in that they are very flawed characters, but you still love all of them so very much you can't not. They are so likable, and it's so hard to do that when you put such visible, obvious flaws into characters, and yet she completely and utterly accomplishes that with these characters. And not to mention, it read so much like an MTV Behind the Music documentary, and the rise and the fall of the band and of this story was so believable that by the end I was like, yeah, this band totally exists. Why would anybody ever say that they don't? Because they just totally do. And also, where do I listen to their music? And that is when you get sad, because then you try to look it up on Spotify or on YouTube to see if anybody's tried to like recreate any of the music, and they haven't. And then you're just like, wow, that makes me really sad, because I just got so emotionally invested in everything about this band. And oh wait, it's not a real band. I have to keep reminding myself that, oh geez, like it's that good. So that is my reasoning for making this my top #1 book of 2019. Alright, that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments down below how your 2019 reading year was, what your favorite or least favorite book of the year was, how many books you read. I don't know, any of it, all of it. Please leave it in a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, do not hesitate to give it a thumbs up. Do not hesitate to subscribe for more content coming soon, and I will see you in the next video. Bookish Badger, signing off.